Yeah, so it turns out that I can't sleep. But at least I got Le Plerome. And Le Plerome, I wonder if he wants me to add him as a friend on the Twitter. So this guy, for those of you who don't know, is a longtime subscriber of mine. And I think it's like, it used to be once a month, but now he gave up. Kept asking me to add him as a friend on Twitter because he kept getting banned. And I think he got banned more than 12 times. Like, I don't even know how he did it. I don't consider myself to be edgy, so maybe I don't know how it's like. But I think I got suspended on Twitter once or twice. And then I deleted my old account because I thought that I'm shadow banned, which I was, by the way. And when I started a new account on Twitter, like, my God, for the first time ever, I was interacting with people. But then they shadow banned the second one as well. So now very few people are interacting with my tweets. But I never got banned. Like, I don't know what exactly you need to do. And not to mention, it's like Trey telling me to go to sleep when he hasn't slept either. What do you actually gain by sleeping anyway? I mean, it's so overrated. Can you make money while you sleep? I think you can. If you actually go to one of those medical experiments where they measure the brain waves while you sleep, they actually pay you for that. So technically, yes, you can make money while you sleep. Or if you're a doctor, I guess, and you're on call and there's no patient coming, and you go to sleep, yeah, that also works. But other than that, like, no, I don't think you can make money while sleeping. So therefore, I do not want to sleep. I want to make money. Making money is great. Pays for the mortgage. Horrible having a mortgage. Well, I don't regret it, but still, it's like the debt hanging over you. Like, you know that you need to pay it, and it's like, if you don't pay it, bad things happen. So you can't sleep. Why you need to make money? Anyway, right? That's not what I wanted to do this. I wanted to do this because when I can't sleep, I feel like philosophizing. It's like the mastery of the universe gets revealed to me. I think it's like when my brain is tired, it stops being hyperactive, so I actually focus on work-related stuff. No, what did happen to Candace? I have no idea. I don't follow Candace Owens, but hopefully she's okay. Well, why? Huh? Let me actually check. What did happen to Candace Owens? Candace Owens. So Candace Owens. Did she get banned? Unity, Rome, people fighting against vaccine mandates, according to Candace. I don't see anything happening to her. She's just talking about people protesting the mandates, but thank you, Apple, but it would take more than that to put me to bed. So anyway, right, I don't know what happened to Candace, to be honest. Hopefully she's okay, because I do like her. She's a good troll. But anyway, right, should we start talking about the progressives, or should we warm people up a little bit more? Because I just got very annoyed having a conversation with the progressive, and I realized some fundamental differences in agreement. Let's put it like this. It's like just such a different worldview. And there's a video coming up. I'll talk about Germany. If you thought that once Angela Merkel steps down, the new government is going to tilt a little bit to the left of Merkel, no, you're mistaken. They're going way off the reservation. I mean, it's probably like the most leftist government that I have ever seen. It's probably compared to Sweden. I looked at what they're trying to accomplish. It's the Californication, basically. Like, look, what progressive ideology does, if it's applied to a state, it's going to raise the GDP. Sometimes, actually, not all the time. But like, you look at California, and yeah, you look at London, like, it raises the GDP. But it causes massive income disparity. It causes massive amount of homelessness. It causes a difficult time in finding a home. Like, not so there's different reasons why you can be homeless, right? You can be homeless because you're suffering from a drug addiction or something like that. or you can be homeless because you literally can't afford the house. So you're uh, so you grow up and you're still living with your parents. That's not actually homeless, but like it causes very I'm sorry, I haven't slept. You know what I mean. But it's very difficult for people to get a house, is what I mean, right? So in Romania, we don't have progressive ideology, and almost everyone here has a house. It's very easy to buy a house in Romania because the prices are low. But if you look at progressive places like California now, you look at London, you look at New York, most people seem to be living on rent because they can't afford the house. So this is what progressivism does. It raises crime rates. It cracks down on the concept of human rights in spirit, not necessarily in law, although sometimes in law as well. I mean, free speech, for example, right? In the United Kingdom, there was a guy who wrote Islam is questionable on his house. Boom, arrested. Like prison for that. It's not okay. I don't think I need to stress that is not okay. And the crime is up. So for example, I think it was in California, like they opened the prisons because it wasn't safe due to COVID, but they would lock people up that didn't follow the mandates. Like, what the fuck? So you're releasing criminals out, but you're putting citizens in. Like, okay, fine. And of course, it also promotes, I guess, like social issues that only rich people can care about. Like, why the hell would I ever care about the fact that now people can change their pronouns on their bank applications or shit like that? You know, it's like, they're like, can we fix the problems that affect all of us first? Like, can we fix the economy? Can we fix the inflation? Can we lower the crime rates? Because even the people that want to change their pronouns in the bio, like, even they are affected by the crime rates. Even they are affected by inflation. Like, let's fix the problems that everyone is dealing with, and then we can look at the smaller issues. But basically, like, that's what it is. You know, like, you lose rights that you need. Like, for example, the ability to support a family with one income. Like, that existed in the United States. A single person with one income could have a family of 3, sometimes even 4. So you lose that ability. But instead, I guess you gain the ability to identify as whatever you want on a bank statement. It's like, oh, yes, that I always wanted that. Thank you so much. So, Kyul Vic, some money to buy yourself a cup of coffee. Thank you. I'll actually do that. Here's money to sleep. Already read that. I'll need more than $5 to go to sleep. Right. So anyway, you know, I've been thinking a lot about the difference between people like myself, and I don't know if you guys are like myself, but I assume you are, and people that are progressive. And why do they vote the way they do? So I think the main problem comes from a fundamental difference in opinion. Like, people like myself are against the welfare state. And the reason we're against the welfare state, and I think this is like the major issue that you have, like, the welfare state is nice in theory. I mean, it's kind of Christian if you think about it in spirit. Like, you pay so that other people who are less fortunate have a safety net. So the welfare state in theory is nice, but in practice, it's a Ponzi scheme. It literally is a Ponzi scheme. Because you always need to have, like, more people that come in the next generation than the previous one. It can't exist unless that happens. So unless you have, like, more kids than you have elderly, the welfare state collapses. The government literally cannot pay for the people. Now, the reason the welfare state is collapsing in our generation is because the majority, so, well, in Europe, for example, like the Americans like to say, white people chose not to have kids. And people choose not to have kids when they're rich and wealthy. And when they know that the government takes care of them. Because if you think about it, when the welfare state didn't exist, you would need to have like 5 or 6 kids so that when you're old, those 5 or 6 kids would be like, okay, we have to take care of grandpa. I mean, he's old, he can't work anymore. Let's all pitch in and take care of grandpa because he took care of us when we were young. So you would have like an extended family, and the family was the one that would take care of you. Like that's how things used to work. It was family and community oriented. So you'd have like large families, and you'd be friends with all your neighbors, and you'd go to church where you'd socialize with the rest of the people in the community, and you'd help each other find jobs, and you talk to each other, and you decided to like maybe your kids will like my kids, and we can create a family alliance. That's how it worked, right? Now I'm not saying the system was good or not, but it was functional. That's the main thing. Like the system functioned and incentivized people to have children. The current system doesn't. The current system is like, okay, well, when you're old, the government will take care of you. And again, like it sounds good, but if everyone thinks like this, like if everyone, not even everyone, if a significant number of people decides to make this decision, the government literally cannot take care of you. Mathematically speaking, it's impossible. Like they do not have the resources to do this. People invited Mummy and Daddy, which is the government, in their household. And Mummy and Daddy, unfortunately, requires people's money in order to function. Good philosophical debate. If taxation is theft and the local library is built from stolen money, should you then want police to get rid of bombs in areas? Some people mention hope. I'm not an anarcho-capitalist. I don't think taxation is theft. I think that you need stability in order to have a prosperous economy, right? You need policing, you need a military, you need borders, you need laws, and these things cost money. So I'm okay with taxation. I don't think you should be taxed 60% of what you make, but I do think some sort of taxation is required. To be honest, a sales tax would be enough probably for everything that I want, but this is not the conversation. What I want to say is that when the welfare state starts failing, what does the government do? Well, it's going to import immigrants. That's what it's going to do. Like all these governments, they realize it's like, oh shit, we're not going to be able to pay people. So we need an economy, and they're going to get immigrants. It's the only possibility, right? People don't want to have kids. So what they're going to do is like they're going to just let as many people in, because currently for politicians, a country is not a place where you have a culture and a tradition and stuff like that, because people don't think this way anymore. They grew up in the welfare state and they don't have this as a mentality. Well, what people believe is that a country is a place where economic transactions happen. It's a space where economical transactions happen, and the more profitable, then the better. That is the system, right? So they don't want to end up with a situation where they're going to be like, okay, well, this guy paid his entire life so he can have a pension when he retired. I mean, he paid for it. But unfortunately, we're going to have to tell him, no, sorry. Like, can you imagine this? I can imagine if the government would just tell people, it's like, okay, you're not going to get the retirement fund anymore. And what do? I don't know. We don't have money. Deal with it. I mean, I think there would be massive panic. I think there would be massive rioting, like unlike you've never seen before. So because of that, the government is trying to avoid this, and in order to avoid this is they're going to get cheap labor from outside to pay for the elderly in the country. Now the issue is that as I can see it, I don't think people want the welfare state to go away. I don't think people can even imagine life without the welfare state. Like, if you were to even suggest, and I tried this, I suggested to many people, it's like, look, how much money are we making in Romania? And it's like, I'm a doctor, I make $1,500. Okay. How would you like to make $2,500, but you don't get welfare? And they really don't know, like, no, they don't want to. Right. So people like myself are probably a very fringe minority that would want the welfare state to be gone. And because of that, I don't think we're going to get our way. I don't think we're going to get our way probably ever. I mean, the welfare state is here to stay because it's so convenient for politicians. You get a politician and he promises free shit, and he's not paying for free shit, but he's using other people's money to give that free shit, and he gets elected. So why would the politicians want the welfare state to go away? It's not going to go away, right? So people like myself are in a very fringe minority. Now, if the welfare state did go away, the economy would just skyrocket. Like, eventually you'd have people capable of doing what they did before, to have an entire household with one income. You'd have a time of prosperity unlike you ever seen before. But unfortunately, I don't think there are solutions, like Thomas Sowell likes to say. There's trade-offs. So if the welfare state did go away, a lot of people would suffer. So, like, it's a very hard decision. The politician that would make this decision would probably be hated by everyone. And I don't know. I mean, short of a war, and I don't think there's going to be one coming anytime soon, nor do I want one. But short of a war, I don't think the system will change. So, yeah, I mean, communists have won the argument, exactly like you said it. They have completely won the debate. And the way they won the debate is because I've noticed people do not connect the dots. Like you're going to have people who constantly vote for free shit, right? The moment they get their way, the moment they vote for the free shit, taxation rises. Businesses go away. So now you have people that have a difficult time finding a job. They have difficult time managing a household because the taxes are too high. And those people, some of them make a decision. It's like, okay, fuck it, I'll leave. Right? And they go to another place where they can find a job and the taxation is low. And then they want, but they don't have free shit there, right? So they want free shit, and they start voting for free shit where they're going. And they don't connect the dots. They don't figure it out. They don't realize that, look, the reason you're having a bad time is because you want free stuff. Like, for example, right, in Romania right now, there was a talk before the pandemic about minimum wage. And I'm like, okay, so what do you think minimum wage should be? And I don't know what it was. Like, let's say $10 an hour, right? And I'm saying, okay, so you're saying that everyone who cannot work under $10, like, they don't have the capacity to produce something that is at least $10 out. You're saying that they're not supposed to work. So now you're causing unemployment. Now you're having teenagers who would have a good entry point into a job opportunity, or they could have the skills required to write something on their resume, or they would be able to at least know how it's like to have a job. They're not going to be hired anymore. Like, no one is going to hire them because they don't work $10 an hour. Like, their work isn't valued that much. You're going to have McDonald's automate their shit because they'll be like, okay, well, it's cheaper to just have like those touch screen things where you just order and you don't have a person that you talk with. It's cheaper, right? You get like supermarkets that just have people just doing their own shopping, and they don't hire a cashier lady anymore. Your policies are causing unemployment. And they don't know, they don't connect the dots. And I'm telling you, look, the small businesses are suffering. Because if I open, like, let's say I open a small business, right? I don't know, like, a lot of people open cafe kiosks. So a kiosk where you serve coffee to people. Okay. And I want to hire someone. Now I have to pay him a minimum wage, so I can't like just have an understanding with a friend. It's like, hey, look, I'm opening a business. Can you help me out? We'll work something out. No, you can't do that anymore. You got to do a lot of paperwork. You got to pay him minimum wage. You got to pay taxes to the government. All that shit. A lot of people just go, fuck it. I'm not going to open the business. And the people with welfare, they do not connect the dots for the life of them. There's no way you can talk with them. There's no way you can explain it to them. And like I even told a friend of mine who's a very progressive individual. I told him, it's like, look, you have a job and you're not happy with the money you're making, right? wouldn't you like to just have more if you don't pay the same amount of taxes? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, but you wouldn't have like hospital and that. Oh my God, I wouldn't have healthcare. And I'm like, dude, you never go to healthcare. Like when you needed healthcare, you went to the private sector. Like you always go to the private sector. You never go to public healthcare. What the fuck are you talking about? So, oh God. And there was another friend that I was telling him, it's like, look, you wouldn't get an education. Like university wouldn't be free. It's like, oh my God, what do you mean university wouldn't be free? It's like, you got 2 universities like me. Do you use them? Do you use them for anything? See, just why? Why? God. And by the way, it's the mentality that's so fucking rotten. Like the idea that you need to go to university. There is a problem in the United States. I read an article this morning. It's going to be on my main channel, probably tomorrow or the day after. It's called the golden penis syndrome. And I'm like, what the fuck is the golden penis syndrome? Now, when you read the article, you find out what it is, and when you actually figure out, your sides are going in orbit. So, in America, there were a lot of diversity initiatives to get more women into university. And women went to the university. But at one point, they actually went to such record numbers that there were more women than men. And at this point, they should have stopped the program. It's like, okay, diversity worked. We now have 50-50. Just shut the fuck. No, they kept doing it. So you have universities that have like 60, 70% women. In fact, I'm pretty sure that at certain places, you might even have like 90% women. There might be certain universities like that. So, if you're a man and you're surrounded by women, I mean, there's a lot of choices now. There's a lot of opportunity. Like, the roles are reversed. You're the one that actually gets to choose. Like, you're the one that gets to be picky. Especially because women at universities, they don't want to date. Because this is another thing that I noticed, right? It's like a lot of people say, well, women won't date a man that earns less than them. Yes and no. They will also not date a man that they consider is less educated than them. So, for example, you can have a truck driver that makes $6,000 a month, and the woman goes, oh, icky, truck driver. A plumber makes $5,000. Oh, my God. Oh, he cleans the toilets. They're not going to do that, right? So they want to date someone that's as educated as them. So when they look at the people that have university degrees, there's so few men. So now the men are picky, they're choosing what women to go to. And it's like, oh, it's golden penis syndrome. It's like, I guess, yeah. I mean, but it's kind of hilarious. Especially when you consider that going to university is going to become absolutely useless. And the reason I'm saying this is that they super saturated the market. Like, back in the day, going to university guaranteed that you're going to have a prestige job. Because going to university was incredibly expensive. You usually needed to have connections, like your family needed to be connected and whatnot. So very few people actually went to university. And because of that, there were specific jobs that were very prestigious. And because only few people were qualified for it, they were very well paid. And, but nowadays, almost everyone goes to university. And because everyone goes to university, all the jobs, they require a university degree. So going to university is nothing special. It's like, meh, okay, you went to university, big fucking whoop. There are jobs that my parents did and didn't require a university. Now they require a university. Now, almost every single job, even the cleaning fucking lady, like, I can't believe this. I actually saw this flyer. And it was for, not a cleaning lady, but the lady behind the counter. The cashier. At some weird-ass store that I'm surprised people even know about. It required a university degree. And it's not that they're not going to get it, because I'm pretty sure like people will line up and it's just any degree. any qualifications, right? And that's where we're at, right? So going to a university now is going to be considered just basic, not even average. It's kind of required. And the real money is at the trade schools. Like if you go to a trade school as a man, that's where the money is at. And there is stigma, by the way. Like society has a lot of stigma for trade school and whatnot, but they're going to make money. And the women, they're going to go to the universities and they're not going to have a job. There is an exception, of course. If you go to a university to study medicine, or you go to a university to study law, because you can't practice these professions unless you have the university degree. But other than that, honestly, like I'm not going to get my kid in a university. I mean, I'll see how the economy is like, and I'll talk to him. Obviously, you know, if my kid wants to go to university, fine. I'll be like, okay, these are the only two options for you: law school or med school. Other than that, pay your own university. I don't give a fuck. I'm not paying for that shit. Because you pay for it, and then it's like, what do? You get a diploma and you put it in your drawer. Like, congratulations. Security guard at Metropolitan Museum, Art in New York, requires college degree. Yeah, because everyone has a college degree. I've been trying to hire people to milk cows for $35 per hour. All I get is people who want me to fill the paperwork to say that they apply so they can get the benefits. It's a really bad time now, especially, I guess, in Australia. But it's a really bad time to find work because the government paid people to stay home. So what do you expect? Especially, and this is something that I noticed as well. When people take a long absence, like 1 year or something like that, they feel that it's very difficult to get back into it, to get back into the saddle. I mean, for me, it would probably be quite difficult. I'd get used to it, but it would be difficult to go back to the hostel, wake up every day at 6 a.m. and have a normal work schedule. I would do it, obviously, but I remember like when I started med school, right? It's been years since I went to law school. And when I started med school, it was such a chore. Like, it was so difficult to find the energy to do it. You get used to it after a couple of months, but still, you know, it's that first oomph, that first impression. Yeah, I've heard you say cultural fascism, where woke sees the definition like feminism and take ownership of a concept like equality. Do you believe in equality? That means you're a feminist. Yeah, it's so goddamn. Cultural fascism means that the left will provide the solution to a problem. And if you want to solve the problem, you can only apply the leftist solution. And the perfect example is when they say, do you believe in equality? And you're like, yes. Clearly you must be a feminist. But being a feminist means that you need to believe that there's a patriarchy. You believe that the magical cock and ball in the sky is keeping women down. You believe that the entire nation is systemically sexist, and only by having changing the entire system can you fix it. It's like, hold on a little bit, I just believe in equality. What the fucking fuck are you talking about? And not to mention, you know, like, there's a difference between the equality that people who believe in Frida Blanc, myself, believe, than the equality that the left believes. So the left believes that equality exists only if the results are equal. People like myself don't think that human beings are equal, so therefore the results can't be equal. But what we think is that the law should be the same for everyone. Like, the president and the janitor should be applied to the same law. Like, you shouldn't be able to have a different legislation applied to you just because you're president or just because you're whatever. That's what equality means, right? And of course, equality of opportunity. Like, every single person should be able to have the opportunity to try. And like, I have a test, and every single person should be allowed to try. No one should be barred from at least attempting to do something. That is the equality that I believe in, which is fundamentally different than the equality progressives believe in. Yeah. Holy shit. I wake up at 4:30 a.m. for no reason. And here is V live stream. I don't think our time zones are very different. So you must be super early for you. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you so much, User Psychology. The time difference is 2 hours. I think I'm 2 hours behind you, but I just couldn't sleep. The left doesn't believe in equality anymore, by the way. The left believes in equity, and equity can mean whatever the fuck they want it to mean, right? So equity means that some people can be oppressed and treated unfairly if it means that other people are being pushed up. It's literally what that meme with the kids that want to watch a baseball game was like. And in the imaginary La La Land of the leftists, what equity means is like putting boxes, like putting 3 boxes next to the smallest kid. All right, hold on, I'll show you the meme. Like everything that the left does doesn't make any fucking sense, even when they meme it. So, right. So for them, equality is not bad, right? It's not good enough. They need the equity. So equity means like you need to take the boxes away from the people who have them. Like for example, this guy doesn't need the box at all. This guy can keep his box, but now this guy has 2 boxes, right? So this is their fantasy land. In reality, there is a there is another meme where they cut off the legs with a chainsaw of this guy and they take the boxes away from everyone. So basically now all of them are equal because no one gets to see the right? Because you need to understand, like a nation of slaves is a nation where everyone is equal. Like equality doesn't necessarily mean that, yeah, like this guy is going to have box. What if there's like 10 kids and there's not enough boxes to go around? Like you can't make them equal unless you make sure that no one gets to see the game, and then it's equality. And secondly, just so you know, it really pisses me off. The example that they gave, right? It's an example about theft, isn't it? I mean, if every single person was watching the game like these people without paying for a ticket, then the game wouldn't exist. Because the reason the game exists is so that people can sell tickets and pay for the professional athletes who cancel everything else in their life. I mean, these people don't have a job, right? The athletes. The only job they have is being an athlete. They don't, like, being a professional athlete means you have to make so many sacrifices. It means you can't study properly at school, because I actually went to school with a professional athlete. Like, most of the time he was out training. So he was going into the mountains with some other group, and they were just jogging all the way up the mountain, you know, like training nonstop. So they were really bad at math. They were really bad at everything else, but they were really, really good at playing whatever they were doing. I mean, it's one of the reasons, like, when you see a person interviewing an athlete, they, in some cases, they can't even speak and articulate properly, right? Like, all their life is dedicated to this shit. And in order for this to happen, you need all these people to pay for their wages. So if people just sit here freeloading, right, and this is the example that society needs to fix, like, it's something that's not even causing social stigma. No, it's something that needs to be fixed. Yeah, you're not going to but I just and they can even watch from the television. That's what pisses me off. Like, they can watch it for free. Just go and watch it on top. But then you see, like, the way the left operates, right? It's never good enough. Like, it's never good enough. Like, even when you have equity, there is more work to be done. Now you need liberation. Now you need to put these people on the field. Why should they be on the fucking field? Why should they be on the field? Because they're not professional athletes. So all these other people, right, like all the ones that are sitting here and they paid for their ticket, they're not on the field. But now this is liberation. They're on the field. What the fuck does that even mean, liberation? It's like, okay, so now they get to play the game? Okay, but they're not professionals. They're going to ruin the game for everyone else. And then you have, like, oh yeah, justice. It's like, yeah, so justice means tearing down the fence that's preventing freeloading. Like, you can pay a ticket like everyone else. You can literally pay a ticket, but given how few people are in the crowd, it's probably not that expensive. Yeah, this is actually justice right here. You know, like arresting the freeloaders. What the fuck are you doing? But yeah, I mean, this is what the majority of people think now. This is what they think a society should run like. And unfortunately, they can't connect the dots. Like they won't know why the games can't happen anymore after this. Like they do this bullshit, and then they notice that people don't come to see the game. And then they notice like, oh, the wages are going down for the players, and now the games are becoming more and more poor because like less and less top players are willing to do it, and they don't know, they can't connect the dots. And this is the fantasy la la land of progressivism, I guess. Holy shit! It is 3:45 in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia, and I thought I would just throw you some cash. Thank you for all the great content you deliver to us, V. Hey, VTuber review anytime soon. I actually don't watch VTubers. I used to watch a couple, but lately I'm just, as you guys can see, 4 videos a day, 1 live stream. I just don't have time for more. But okay, here's something else. I looked at Australia, and apparently I saw a very angry prime minister. Like, he was livid, he was fuming. And he was upset that there's online trolls. And Australia wants to fine now people for spreading rumors online. I don't know what the fuck is happening with Australia. Personally, I don't think it's connected to health. No other country on earth is doing whatever the fuck Australia is doing right now. I am curious though, like when will it end, and what will the outcome be? Because right now is the revolution part, you know, where the government is seizing all the power, pissing away on human rights, and there needs to be a time when stability arrives. Right? Like they establish whatever the fuck they want to establish, and then they need stability. I'm curious when stability is going to be needed. Like what are they going to do then? Males fighting women in sports equals equity. Yeah, apparently it's really upsetting for the women that want to use sports as a way to get into a college. But fuck it, you know, like this is actually one of the things that I'm glad it's happening. I'm really glad it's happening because either women supported this or they stood silent. For example, and what I mean by this, censorship on the internet came because of feminism. And they were the ones with, let's not platform bigots, let's, you know, like bring equality and all this bullshit. Okay, now you have equality. Congratulations. Like a man can literally change his ID from M to F if he so desires. Congratulations, you got equality. And they're like, oh, man, oh, now you're a bigot. Now you're a bigot. Shut the fuck up. No platform for bigots. I disagree with Sargon on this vehemently. Like, Sargon is really upset that this is happening and he's siding with the feminists. No. I'm team trans now. All of a sudden, I'm 100% on their side. Can you make a video on how they name organizations platitude like Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and Peace, Love? Whatever at Ham Proxy, agree with me, or hate, love, peace, and equality. Yeah, no, like the name of Black Lives Matter is 100% the most brilliant marketing strategy you can ever make. Because there is the sentiment that you think Black Lives Matter, and then there's the organization, which is an openly Marxist organization. So basically, if you think Black Lives Matter, then you're a Marxist. Period. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, it even took me a gasp when I just, oh, that is so fucking smart. Yeah, I mean, in Germany, I'll make a video about it. They're actually trying to make it so that just by claiming, like just by identifying, right? So if you identify as a woman, legally, you can become a woman. And I'm thinking, okay, so you don't have to be trans. Like, that's not the requirement. Like, you're not even lying, all right? Like, it's not even the requirement that you get a medical opinion or... No. Like, as long as you identify as a woman, you're a woman. Perfect. Why not? I mean, at this point, just change from M to F, and you get all the benefits and all the perks, And all the society protection that is offered to women, you now have it. Someone discriminates you, boom, you have feminism. Someone is against you, because again, like I told you guys on an earlier live stream, but there was this friend of mine who works in London, and his name is Lucian. And he said that at one office party, the boss, who got a little bit drunk, said that he wouldn't hire him if he didn't misread his name. He thought that his name was Luciana. And because of that, he got hired. That is discrimination. Right? Like, imagine if you would say this to a woman. It's like, oh, Luciana, the only reason I hired you is because when I read your name is Lucian. Right? That is discrimination. So this guy is discriminated. Who the fuck is going to care about it? Is the mainstream media going to write an article? No. Does he have any organization that will cover his ass? No. Does he even stand a case in court? No, absolutely not. Okay, so he's not covered. Now, if he were to listen to me and change from M to F, you would see the boss sweating bullets. Like, you would see the boss offering him, offering her a promotion. Just shut the fuck up. That's how the game is played. That's what you need to do. I mean, what can I say? Masculine presenting trans lesbian. You don't even have to go into details. They're not even supposed to ask you. None of their fucking business. I would be like, yeah, I'm a woman, but I'm non-binary. They, them. There was another article which I read. A woman arrested for public indecency. She was masturbating her penis in public. And I'm thinking, yeah, maybe they should take her to the women prison so the other women can masturbate their penis in front of her in public. I mean, we're getting to that point. So why not? I mean, at this point, I literally do not care. I've been warning people for 5 years that there's going to be a time when the pendulum is going to swing, and swing it has. I was telling, like all these ideologues that were like, oh, we need to censor, we need to no platform bigots. It's like, dude, there's going to be a time when you're the bigot. Now they are. Why would I be on their side? They did this. They created this. Like the J.K. Rowling thing, initially I was like, it's not good what's happening. No, it is. It is. Absolutely. Everything that's happening towards J.K. Rowling, she deserves it because she's a TERF. And she's a bigot. Did you see Cardi B will be releasing the results of her STD? I've not followed Cardi B, but you know what? I did follow, what's her name? The one with the one that was put under her father's supervision. Britney Spears. Yes. What happened to Britney Spears was utterly awful, and I'm really glad that she managed to escape. I seen a video of her. I mean, she was so happy, and it made me happy. Like, what happened to Britney Spears is beyond fucked up. So for those of you who don't know, I forgot the name of the institution that's not tutelage. Something like a protectorate. But basically, when the law considers that you're mentally unstable and you're not capable of making correct decisions, they're going to put someone in charge of you. So in the case of Britney Spears, like she used to be unable to sign any contract, unable to get any money. It was her father that got to decide everything, right? So her father decided, when she would go to a concert and she would sing, she got no money for it. It was her father that got all the money, right? Conservatorship, yeah, that's the name. So it went to the point where she wasn't allowed to have kids. Like her father, like she had an IUV installed, like one of those things that go into the uterus so that you can't have kids. She wanted it removed. Her father wouldn't allow it. So even body autonomy was gone from her. And basically, like, she was crying for help, right? And the judge didn't want to do it at first until the case became public, and eventually, like, the judge finally released her the conservatorship. And now she's free, and I'm looking at her, and it's like, oh my god, like, can you imagine, like, the idea that, okay, so she's mentally incapable of making correct decisions, but she is perfectly capable of going on a concert and entertaining people. Like, that's something that she can do, right? No, really, you briefly looked at the Big Les show. Free feel to watch your YouTube first season under an hour. I don't know if I have time. Thank you, Sammy, but probably not. Britney Spears is more stable than Cardi B. Man, like I saw her being happy, but she was like wobbling back and forth. Like it's clear that she's suffering from a lot, and I think like any person in her condition would be suffering. So I don't know. I think it started because she got physical with a fan or something. I forgot what exactly triggered it, but yeah, that definitely she wasn't supposed to be placed under the conservatorship. So yeah, like what happened to Britney is beyond the pale, and hopefully it's not going to happen to anyone. The conservatorship, by the way, is not a bad institution. Like, if you actually have a person that's wealthy, like let's say you have a person that has I don't know, is a millionaire, right? Like but he's also retarded. So not as an insult, but the actual medical condition of stunted mental growth, right? And his parents die in a car crash, and now he is the inheritor of the manor. The idea of conservatorship, if done properly, means that, because otherwise, like, someone could go to him with a candy and be like, "Hey, I'll give you this candy. You signed the deed to the manor," and boom, right? Like, so in order to avoid people taking advantage from those who can't consent because, well, they're mentally challenged, but at the same time they need to sign contracts in order to be able to function in society. You constantly need to sign various contracts. The conservatorship exists, right? but it's not done so that the person in charge can abuse the person that's vulnerable. Britney is getting married now. Well, I don't feel shocked. I hope she's not going to marry someone that's possessive. A lot of people get this Stockholm syndrome. You know, exactly like I was saying with people who vote for welfare and then they're shocked and Pikachu face that taxes go up and business closed down and unemployment is high. So what do? They go into another place, and what do? They vote for welfare again. Okay. And I see women doing the same shit, honestly. It's like they go with a man that's abusive, and they get out of the relationship, usually because the man dumps them. Like that's the funny part. And then they go in another relationship with another abusive guy. It's like, what the fuck? Like this is not true for men, by the way. I've seen men go with a gold digger, and then when they get another girlfriend, like, she doesn't have to be another gold digger, right? Like, but I remember, like, when I grew up, there was like this friend of my cousin. She was very hot, but she was with a guy which apparently recently killed himself, but after committing breaking and entry, mugging, which resulted in the death of the victim. Okay, so a really nice guy, as you can imagine, and this guy beat her mom and killed her kitten. Right now, any normal person under this circumstance, like if it was a man, even if the woman was the hottest in the land, there is no fucking way that guy would ever see that woman again. I know it rarely happens, but there are cases where a woman can beat a man. You know, like if the woman is twice his size, I've seen it happen. But if that happened, like that man would never see her again after doing that, right? But no, like, she continued the relationship. And then the guy dumps her. And she goes with another guy that was also abusive. And I'm like, how the fuck? Why? And it's not the only case. I think it's psychological. I don't know. There's another thing which happens in the United States, like it doesn't happen in Romania, or at least if it does, I don't know. But you have like a mass murderer, like someone that goes to prison for murder, right? And he gets like all these love letters from women. I think like you get to see it on television. Like someone takes interview to a psychotic serial killer, and he brags about like how many women are writing to him. And I'm like, what the I, like, why? It's just like, look, if you want to marry a killer, marry a soldier that saw combat or some shit. But at least is like a respectable member of society. But no, it's an American thing, Rayclaw. It's not something that's. I mean, I guess like in other countries maybe, but we don't know. But like I've seen it in so many interviews. It's so weird. Um, I was thinking like, is it the same with guys? And I guess like maybe like if you see, I don't know, like a psychotic female killer, there's not that many women that are serial killers. But let's say you find one and she's super hot. Like, would guys write to her? I have no idea. I mean, hell, I like succubuses, so maybe. I think, okay, now I understand women. Um, I will take the succubus and I will fix her. I will be the one that fixes. She's not going to suck after I get in with her. Rich make sure to have their wealth: property, cars, art, rare earth minerals, businesses. So the accountants would make sure the mansion doesn't get traded for a candy. No, I'm talking not about like an average rich person. I'm talking about a person that's mentally challenged, right? So like, if you're getting conservatorship, it means that you literally are incapable of functioning properly. Like you're a person that's suffering from mental illness. So think about like the person that has drool coming out of their mouth. They're like, like, yeah, that person is probably going to sign off the deed to the house, to the manor. And it doesn't matter like what the accountants would say, because you'd get your accountants to persuade that person. I guess there's a desire for the antisocial. No, I think there's a desire to fixing people, right? A lot of guys like a quote unquote broken woman, like one that's depressed, and maybe she has financial issues, because as a guy you get a feeling of comfort whenever you help her out. I mean, it's hardwired into our brain. Like you feel good when you give something, right? When you're helpful, when you're doing stuff, it feels great, feels good. um so I think like women might experience something similar. Like they get a bad boy and it's like, oh, I'll tame him, like the taming of the shrew, I guess. Yeah, I'll fix the succubus. I'll fix the suck. Uh, to be honest, like there's what was it? Miss Heed. Yeah, let me show you Miss Heed. So I'll actually hold on. I'll show you the thing. This doesn't have subtitles. Let me see. Okay, this is not English. Basically, like she's a thought, and she uses her hypnotic abilities to make men fall in love with her and then do everything that she wants them to. So she's literally brainwashing people with a magical smoke thingy. And the way she gets defeated is that she Hold on, let me just see if I can put subtitles on. Yeah, it's only in Spanish. But basically, like, she kisses this guy, right? Apparently, like, she actually likes him. And she's videotaped. And as her fans see what she's doing, they contact her. Well, why is the video stopping? Like, first of all, why is the video not in English? And secondly, why is it stopping exactly at the interesting? All right, finally I got it. So she's getting a bleep from the phone, and everyone is like, seriously, you pick him over me? Right, pick the geeky villain over me. Hashtag not salty. This is not the waifu you're looking for. Fan base crash in 3, 2, 1, disconnected. So basically, like, everyone is unsubscribing from her. And she's, like, blaming this guy. Like, of course, she's not going to blame herself. Like, projecting, accusing him what she done to her. And then she's, like, trying to use people like she used before. It's like trying to get her fans to cancel them. But this time isn't working, right? Because, well, she just lost her power. It's kind of funny because she ends up like this. It shows, like, how damaging social media can be for women as well, right? Because, like, once you lose the fame, once you lose the popularity, like, what skill do you have? What do you have left? You've got nothing. Like, your only skill was to be presentable for the cameras, and you wasted your young years instead of learning a skill that people can want. This is literally what you did. So, now she's going crazy, and she's got. I love that she's got on the wall. It's like hashtag follow me, hashtag back soon, hashtag no hate please. But anyway, like, I was wondering, like, what's worse, a succubus or a woman like this? Like, a succubus is a demon from hell that wants your soul. She's going to fuck you and you're going to die because of the intercourse. Like, so it's a demonic entity, but at least, like, the succubus puts out. But versus this, like, what this is a manipulative person that is using technology that humankind never had access to in order to manipulate millions of people. And some of them end up ruining their lives in the pursuit of something they're never going to have. I mean, I looked at some of these e-girls Reddit accounts, and you have people there saying, oh, my wife is now upset because I donated more money to my waifu. And it's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Or they say stuff like, I'm not going to be able to pay rent because I gave, like, the last money that I had to the e-girl. And I'm thinking, like, dude, the e-girl you're giving money to is a fucking millionaire. Like, she's a millionaire. She's got a contract with Disney. What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, she's never going to like you. She's never going. And men do it anyway. Why? I think it's because, like, the magic of the internet, they genuinely feel a dopamine rush when they're helping a good-looking girl. They're haywire to think like this. I'm still curious, like, which is worse, a succubus or a lady like this. Women don't understand how it's like, by the way, like, because they can't. But if they have a son, they will understand why it's a problem. Well, I don't think it has a copyright because I actually had the pictures on my other channel. If it gets copyrighted, I'll delete it. Yeah, it is live, Ogrilo. I vote succubus on principle, but with a woman like this, you can just avoid them and one kill them. They can still ruin your life, man. I mean, there were people that called these ladies out, and they got canceled. They had their channel deleted. They were ruined financially. I mean, it's they have power, right? I mean, they have millions of people, and they can harass and encourage other people to mob on whomever is a detractor and is trying to pull attention to what they're doing. Succubus takes advantage of you once, then kills you. This woman takes advantage of you forever. Yeah, pretty much. A succubus kills you. Yeah, according to Dungeons and Dragons, the touch of a succubus drains your soul. So, but at least as I mentioned before, like a succubus puts out, this just sucks your money, sucks your financial wealth. Does Romania have Omicron yet? Everyone is going to have Omicron. I mean, it's the same like the Delta, but it's interesting to see that they're freaking out. Like here's something that people don't understand. I'll tell you about Omicron. Even though I shouldn't, because it's YouTube, and I try to stay away from this because the censorship is insane. South Africa, most people are mocking it, and it's like, oh, it's South Africa. The fuck do they know? South Africa has one of the best epidemiological, I guess. When it comes to epidemiology, South Africa have some of the best experts in the world. Because a lot of people who wanted to make a name for themselves in epidemiology, they went to South Africa in order to try and cure the AIDS epidemic. The other one, what was it? It's early in the morning. I haven't slept. The Ebola epidemic, right? So like a lot of people from all around the world that were respectable epidemics went to South Africa, which is why they managed to discover this, new variant. Which honestly is the C variant if you're thinking about it this time. And I saw like the experts in South Africa going like, why the fuck are people freaking out like this? Right? And you listen to the people freaking out. I listened to Boris Johnson the other day, unless there's more data. Like take into account I'm making the stream on 29th November, so maybe more data comes out. But like everyone is saying like they don't know if this is bad. But they're freaking out regardless. And the people in South Africa are like, why the fuck are you freaking out if you don't have any evidence? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Especially since the people in South Africa, they're saying, like, the cases they found were mild. So they weren't, like, serious symptoms or anything. And not to mention, right, like, if you have a mild case or an easy case, then you just get immunity. Well, so I don't know. I mean, I guess they're freaking out because the public wants the government to freak out. I mean, they want to see that the government is doing shit, and the government can use this as an excellent opportunity to pass stuff. Like, for example, right? If you look at the United States, you have the Green New Deal. Now, the Green New Deal has been renamed into the Infrastructure Bill and the Build Back Better Bill. The Infrastructure Bill is what the Green New Deal wanted to achieve, and the Build Back Better Bill is the free shit part, the welfare part, I guess, right? Now, the infrastructure passed, but the Build Back Better bill probably is not going to pass. But if they have like the opportunity to lock down the economy again, and then they will say, well, we need the Build Back Better plan so that people get free shit. Oh, now even Republicans will vote for it. So I think every time there's a crisis, politicians profit from it. Like a lot of people think that politicians make the crisis happen, and that's not necessarily true. Like, they can just wait for a crisis. I mean, it was inevitable until you would have a new variant. That's what viruses do. They mutate. It's not that science discovered it now. It's like there's going to be another variant and another and another. It's just like viruses mutate. Like what? Sonny, I'm late to this and I missed your earlier stream. Can you recap what you said on this stream? No, I'm sorry, I can't recap. It's been 1 hour. I can't recap for an hour. Hey, Real. Farts in a jar for sale validates everything you just said. What the fuck? Is that a thing? Infrastructure bill was mostly about trains. No, you had like a lot of pork in it. For example, you had stuff like... I don't know if they added in the final print, but someone found out that... every single new model of a car that's going to be made is going to have a meter attached so that the government can tax you based so you have a gas tax and now you have a carbon tax. So you get like another tax, because what happened is that a lot of people realized, okay, I pay a gas tax, so why not buy an electric car? And if they buy an electric car, then they don't have to pay a gas tax. So now what the government is doing is like, all right, well, you're going to have your mileage counted, but not like by the default mileage system, because that can be tinkered with. No, like another mileage. And they're going to tax you based on carbon, based on how much you spend. And it's like, okay. So it has shit like that. Like the infrastructure bill, yes, it was mostly on trains, but it was also on shit like pork that have absolutely nothing to do with trains. Yeah, I literally gave buyer's remorse to Sarah. See, like a lot of people think it's like, oh, the problem is with Davos. Yes and no. I mean, even if the people with Davos would resign, they have like other adepts. They have other people that support them. The problem isn't Davos. The problem is that the population wants this. Like people legitimately want this, right? Like people are entirely convinced that if the government puts more taxes, pollution is going to go away. Like people are entirely convinced that if their nation goes zero carbon emission, the world will be saved. Even though China is the world's biggest polluter, and it doesn't seem like China is going to want to stop polluting anytime soon. That is the problem, right? Like the people that they're convinced that this is correct. So Davos, yeah, sure. I mean, it's a manifestation of individuals that want to take advantage of people's stupidity. Davos is like, of course, they're the problem. But even if you didn't have Davos, like let's say all the people from Davos would resign tomorrow, you just have a new group of people that will take advantage of the population, because the population is willing to be taken advantage of. That's the problem. You know, it's the exact same thing that I said in the beginning with the girlfriend that is being abused. And finally she gets out of the abusive situation, like the boyfriend dumps her or whatever, and then she finds another abusive boyfriend. Right? The problem is the problem is on one hand with the abusive boyfriend, of course, but the other problem is like her. Like she doesn't know that I mean, she's not being locked up in a cage, right? Like she's not. And I see this in hospital as well. Like you get a woman that's beaten, and you're begging her, you're asking her, like, come on, you know, like, just file a police report. Just file a police report. Like, the police is there to help. Like, he can be arrested. You can go home tonight. And she doesn't want to. She refuses. Like, what can you do? Like, there's nothing you can do in that situation. Convinced? No, I don't think people are convinced. Like in Eastern Europe, that shit didn't work. They tried pushing wokeness in Hungary a couple of years ago, and it didn't work, right? Like you can't push an ideology on people if people reject the ideology. I think like in Eastern Europe, it's just that people are used to dictatorship, and they know how it's like, so they're refusing it. But not only that, like Eastern Europe has a lot of ways to counteract dictatorships that the West is like here's the thing, right? A lot of people think that if you have a dictatorship, you need to, you know, like overthrow the dictator. You need to do the thing, you know, you do the thing, and you overthrow the dictator, and that's not really how it works, right? I mean, sometimes it works, but most people don't do the thing. There's an easier way of dealing with dictatorships, which is how Eastern Europe did it. It makes it unsufferable for the system and very difficult for the system to rule. You just don't comply. But it's not that you don't comply. You talk the talk, right? Like in public, you're, oh my god, the dictator is such a lovely person. Oh my god. But when you do the thing, that you want to do. So for example, in Romania we had rations, right? So you had ration for gas, you had ration for oil, you had ration for bread. And everyone was like, oh yes, this is so great. Oh yeah, rationing. Oh my god, so good. What did people do? They would they would start stealing. Like that's the number one thing, right? Like they would start stealing from the farm they worked. They would start stealing from the shop they worked. So the government was rationing things because they wanted to sell more exports. But now, like, the people were stealing, so there was fewer exports to sell, so the government was furious. But, like, what the fuck can they do? You know, like, punish everyone? Like, there weren't enough prisons. If they, like, 90% of the population was stealing shit. And it wasn't like they... The reason they were stealing shit is because the government was rationing. So, like, imagine having to go a month with only 1 kilogram of chicken. It's like, it's insane. You know, like, people didn't want to starve, so they started stealing shit. And it's not like they were stealing from the government. They were stealing shit from their own land, which, well, technically the government stole from them, right? So that is the way, like, Eastern Europe fights against tyranny. We just do what you want us to. Like we say what you want us to say. Like, we're going to play lip service, and it's like, yeah, sure, yeah, of course, what you're saying. Oh, great. And then you do whatever the fuck you want to do. And the government just can't have tyranny like that. It just doesn't work. It's like, it can't imprison everyone, or at least the significant majority of people. So no one does the thing. Like, no, the thing isn't being done. All right, no one does the thing, but at the same time, people just don't comply. I mean, recently there's a major scandal in Europe because there's a lot of people from Eastern Europe that have fake green passes. Yeah, I mean, it's the same, like, people in Europe. Oh, yes, mandates, excellent, yes, mandates, sure. And meanwhile, the green pass printer goes brrrr. What the fuck do you want? Yeah, this is Eastern Europe. Welcome to corruption land. I saw that you compare Battlefield 2042 Evolution to Battlefield 4. So I compared it to an N64 game from 1999, and the N64 game did Levolution better. I don't even know what the fuck is Levolution. It's just like buildings falling. It's like... someone explained to me, it's like, oh yes, but the antenna, the way it falls, is more realistic. I don't fucking care. Okay, like, when I play a game and I see a building collapse, it looks more awesome than seeing an antenna falling down. Americans are convinced they live in the best place, which is laughable. Depends. I mean, the Americans in Florida live in a great place. And even then, like, there's a lot of towns in America where you can live, and it's fucking amazing. Right? I mean, the bad places in the United States seem to be the cities, especially, like, the big ones, New York, California. But if you live in Florida, it's great. I mean, sure, now it's problem with the high prices and whatnot. But it's a lot better than to live in Germany. It's a lot better than to live in Sweden. I had a girl from Melbourne, and she was telling me that there were grenades attacks so often in her city that she got used to it. And it's like, how the fuck can you get used to a grenade attack? What the fuck? Like, it just doesn't compute. Oh yeah, like, not complying. You know, dollar printing press goes brrr, and then people start buying shit. They start buying Bitcoin. They start buying other things. Like, they start making loans at the bank. Yeah, Ace, send it to me on Twitter. I'll look at it after the stream. I mean, I like, there's so many people that are fucking banks right now. They make a fixed loan for 5 years, so they buy like 3 or 4 houses, and then they sell one house and they will pay the rest when inflation hits. Of course, the government doesn't like it, but, like, what can you do? It's like, it's legal. But yeah, you know, like, if the government prints money, like, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you got literally no option. I mean, your currency is going to lose value. Like, yeah, we can't buy guns and ammo in Romania. Yeah, I know, like, ammo doesn't lose value. So yeah, you could, but I wouldn't, like, I wouldn't have, like, an entire warehouse of ammunition. I would just buy, like, I don't know, maybe like 5-6 months worth of stuff. Like, I mean, like, 5 or 6 months of how much I pay for shit, and then I would use that to invest it in. And probably silver is actually better. Like, ammo is kind of weird. I don't know, like, if it's just so simple to trade. you can make your own ammo. How many people actually make their own ammo, and how many times does the bullet actually works and isn't a dud? Everyone's printing money. There's like 10,000 different cryptocurrencies. Crypto. The problem with crypto is like that, like I watched South Park, and it was, oh yes, it's the future. Everyone uses Bitcoin. No, you can't run a business on crypto. It's too volatile. Like the thing with when you run a business, you don't want the currency to go up by 1,000% one day and then like drop by 500% the next. Like think about it this way. Let's say you pay your employees in crypto, right? And then the crypto just goes all the way up, and it like goes into value 100 times. So this month the employees are really rich, and they use that money. It's like, oh, we can make some loans in the bank. Oh, isn't that great? And the next day the crypto drops 1,000 times, and it's like, oh shit. Now you need to give money to the banks, and it's like, oh, but the crypto is so how do you deal with creditors? Like you let's say you're a pizza establishment, and you need to buy bread, you need to buy the ingredients for pizza, but Bitcoin just dropped by 500 times. Like what the fuck do you do? What's the deal with the European Union? Is it really on its last legs, or are we seeing being torched and reformed? This is something that I generally don't get. Like, people think that just because it's bad for you, the country is falling. Like, news fucking flash. Human history is all about oppression. I don't understand. Like, just because you see... I mean, look at China. Like, China went through a lot worse shit than the West goes through right now. It's still there. It's such a ridiculous notion to think, oh yes, because there's bad times for me, then the nation is falling. No, the nation isn't falling. The nation is able to rule with an iron fist for at least 100 years. I genuinely think this is some American romanticist bullshit from comic books. It's like, oh yes, good always wins. Like the hero always man. No. That's not reality. Reality is cold and harsh. The problem with buying silver, though, because I thought about buying silver. It's hard to sell it. Who's buying the silver back from you, especially if you have large quantities? I think the best thing to do is to just see if you can make a fixed rent from the bank. Like they sometimes offer like a 5-year fixed loan. So for 5 years, regardless of inflation, regardless of anything, you pay the same amount. So if you can do that, just make a loan like that and then buy some land. Buy some land in a place where you know people want to buy it. And then you hold on to it. But not to mention, like imagine if inflation actually happens, right? So and it's really bad, like hyperinflation level. And then all the people with Bitcoin want to sell. If all the people with Bitcoin want to sell, I don't think there's enough buyers. Like I don't think there's enough people that will buy it. Like it might end up being a bad investment. If you want to invest a little bit in Bitcoin, yeah, sure. But if you're going to literally pour all your finances in it, that's a really bad idea. Now, sure, you look at the trend and it's like, oh well, it's going up and up and up. Yeah, okay. But what I'm saying is, like, imagine you have, I don't know, like 5 Bitcoins. That's a lot of money. And you're waiting for the bad time, and then the bad time comes and it's inflation and everyone is selling. And like, are you really going to be able to sell those 5 Bitcoins? Like, are you going to find buyers for it? That's the problem. If everyone sells, that's a good moment to buy. It's a good moment to buy if you think it's going to go back up. But then there's another issue, right? What if the government bans it? I mean, there are governments that ban it. And they can just say, okay, it's banned. All right, what next? What are you doing next? Like, if the U.S. government just bans it, what is the next step? What if everyone wanted to sell their houses at the same time? Yeah, I mean that can happen. By the way, it's called the housing crash. Um, a lot of people can buy houses as a way to flip houses, right? Like that happened in Romania as well. Like it was very difficult to open a business. You needed a lot of paperwork. It was a hassle. You needed to have a skill. So many people didn't open their businesses. What people did is like they would buy another house, and they would either sit on it for the price to go up and sell it, or they would just rent it to someone. And when the inflation hit, everyone was selling their houses. Like people were selling houses like crazy. But what happened was that there weren't enough people to buy them, so the prices went down and down and down and down. And at one point, the price was so low for a house that it was probably cheaper to just demolish it and sell the construction materials. So obviously, this fucked up banks a lot. And yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it's like, oh yeah, well, you're buying a house, the price goes up, but if everyone does it, it can be problematic. If everyone is selling houses, buy them, buy as many as you can. Yeah, but the problem is like people didn't have money to buy them because there was inflation. People couldn't afford to buy houses. Like this is another thing. When inflation happens, people don't start investing. Like people start making sure that they only buy the essentials. So when bad things come, most people are like, okay, well, I'll save money for a rainy day. Like what if my washing machine breaks? What if my cat requires a vet? So people don't just waste money when bad times are coming. So no one is going to buy the houses. Now, of course, if you can actually afford to buy one, yeah, it's a good opportunity to buy a house. Unless the bad times are so bad that it actually turns your city into Detroit. If it turns your city into Detroit and people move out, then buying a house might not be a good investment. What about metals that have actual chemical use? If you know you can sell the stuff that you bought, then good. But if you can't sell the stuff, like I, for example, in Romania, don't know where I could sell silver. Right? Like I can buy silver from like the Romanian equivalent of Amazon. I can do that. I can buy silver coin, but where am I selling them? And you need to sell them to someone that will buy them at least at the same price. Um, Very difficult. The ability to transact anonymously with the entirety of the world is cool. Yeah, I mean, okay, look. If you want to use crypto in order to, I don't know, like buy shady shit, like under the table stuff, yeah, fine. Um, but you can't pay your taxes with it. You can't exchange it into dollars. If you can't do any of that, you're not really a millionaire now, are you? Like, let's say you have $1 million in crypto, and you can find some shady people that will sell you stuff for crypto. Like, well, what exactly can you buy that's under the table for $1 million? I mean, maybe you can buy a hooker. Okay, fine, but like, you're not going to buy a building. You're not going to buy a business. You're not really a millionaire at that point. It's like being on an island and having $10 million with you. It's like, okay, what are you going to spend it on? Not to mention, like from what I understand, the people that operate with crypto, they're now being very friendly with the government, and they're trying to give away the anonymity part, and basically like whatever made crypto great to begin with. Like they're cooperating with the government because they probably realize that the censorship is coming. The government isn't going to allow you to just bypass one of the most important and controlling methods that the government has over the population, which is finance. They're not going to let you to fuck with it, so of course they're going to eventually either try to legislate or censor it. How do we deal with the black pills? Life isn't okay. What do you want from life, really? Like, what do you want? You want freedom? Is that what you want? You can be free. Like, no, just move out of the city. You know, have a family like I do. Get a nice wife. Have kids. And what the fuck do you care about whatever happens outside? You know, like all the oppression is happening in the cities. Like, and I realized this the moment I was locked into my house. Like they locked me into my apartment like I was some sort of criminal. And I had to stay into my apartment for more than 2 weeks. And whenever I went outside, I had to wear the chin diaper and whatever. Now, I'm outside the city in a gated community. Technically, it's a lockdown, but on private property, it's not. Like, legally, I'm not locked down on private property. I can go out. I can have a nice walk. I can talk with my neighbors. It's like, I don't give a fuck. You know, let the people in the city oppress each other if they so fucking want. I mean, they're voting for that shit. They're supporting that. Good for them. I don't care. You know, I got my wife at home. I got a beautiful audience on the internet. What black pill? What are you talking about? My wife has her parents at the countryside. They have a field that they're plowing, and they have chickens, and they got all. I don't fucking care. You know, if people want to vote for the government to take care of them and be their nanny and tuck them in, like, okay, fine. You know, you do you. I'm out. I don't have to deal with the shit, and you don't have to either. That's what people need to understand. You don't have to deal with the shit. Just get out of the city. All of the bad things happen in the city. Just buy a nice house. Sell your apartment. If you sell your apartment, you probably have enough money to buy a nice house outside. If you don't have an apartment to sell, you can probably pay rent. It's probably cheaper outside the city than inside the city. Reminds me of the scene in The Boys, in which the sergeant asks his men if they ever spent $1 million. They then call for an airstrike on a hill with no enemies. That is, it's actually interesting that that's not so surprising, because I found out that in the military, all weapons they have a expiration date. So let's say you have a missile and it's supposed to last for 10 years. Like, after 10 years, it gets out of commission. Now, there's two ways you can get rid of a missile that's expired. Either you launch it, so you either, actually use it in combat, or you use it in a training exercise. Or you have to hire a team of professionals to defuse it. And apparently it's more expensive to hire the team of professionals. So what they do is either they, like you said, call an airstrike on an empty field, and they get rid of that equipment. Or they do it in training, or, like Trump did, and he launched a couple of missiles in Syria, and boom, boom, boom. But it's usually preferable to use the things rather than just have the guys, come in like the specialists and defuse them. Yeah, it's like Alan says, like, they blow up the old stuff. That's what they do. Because it's more expensive otherwise. Yes, I'm awake. This only works until the city zombies come to your farm and demand your food. No, not really. From what I can say, it's like people who want to steal shit, they steal shit from close by. Like, no one is going outside the city to steal shit. Not to mention, like, outside the city, people have a different mentality. Like, you're actually going to get your teeth kicked in. I mean, everyone here knows each other. Everyone here, has each other on a WhatsApp. Like, if someone were to come here, like, they would have to come in great force. And I don't think, like, the people in the city, and nor do I think, like, it's going to get that bad where people just go out of the city in order to loot and plunder the country land. Yeah, I was talking with a leftist, a progressive, and they were like, "Oh, I've been to what was it, Colombia, I think, and I hate rich people in their gated communities. Like everyone is dealing with high crime rates, and they have their gated communities, and I'm like, so are you fucking kidding me? Like you have people that vote for less policing, right? Oh well, the criminal. Oh well, the criminal is a nice man. He's just misunderstood. It's society. It's like, okay, so you suck criminal cock, and you vote for people that are easy on crime, and then when you see the rich people, it's like, okay, fuck it. If you want to live like that, if you want to live like in the Bronze Age, feel free to live like in the Bronze Age. We're going to make a gated community. We have security, and fuck you. And then it's like, oh, what the fuck do you expect? I mean, the criminal is not going to go into the gated community with the private security that's going to beat his shit. No, he's going to rob the grandma. Probably your grandma. Congratulations, you voted for that. Well done. Just, I don't understand. It's like people who vote against their own interests and then complaining when it happens. They don't realize that there is no solution in society. It's just trade-offs. Like literally everything in society has a trade-off. You want less crime? Okay, well, the rich are going to have gated communities and they're going to have a security guard, and you're going to deal with it. How are you going to deal with it? Oh, you like here's the thing, right? This is what the left doesn't understand. Defund the police. Yes, okay, fine. You defunded the police. Now what do you do? Well, you have the criminal coming at your door. What do you do? Okay, you defend yourself. Congratulations, you got Kyle Rittenhouse. Now you're at a public trial. Best hope there's a video footage of you, and best hope it was actually 100% self-defense, because otherwise you're going to rot in prison. Meanwhile, the rich person, what does he do? Oh, he's got security. Now, if the security guard, defends the home, well, first of all, the left actually respects institutions. So if it's like a private security, they don't bitch and moan that much, because even the left needs some protection, right? And if they don't use the cops, they use private security, so they're not going to bitch about like private security firms like doing violence towards a person that's trying to break in. And secondly, even if like the private security does get in trouble, who cares? It's the guy. You're going to hire another. You're not the one getting in trouble. So people just don't fucking get it. It's like, okay, well, you defunded the cops, but like, the crime is up, and they're not going after the rich, they're going after me. It's like, oh, well, really? No, seriously, I just, because they think it's like, okay, so if crime goes rampant, they're going to rob from the rich. Like, in what world does that happen? And like, when? Since when are the rich the most vulnerable in society? You joke about razor wire, but there was actually a case. I think it was in the 70s. I remember it was. So there were people that were stealing batteries from cars, and I guess like one person had enough, because the guy that describes it says that he heard a loud bang, and then he saw a guy without arms like crawling on the ground. So a person booby trapped his battery in the car. But turns out that's illegal, and the guy went to prison for almost his entire life. So, no, unless you're rich and you have security, you're fucked, right? The only thing you can do, if you want to live in a city when there's bad times, when there's high crime rate, the only thing you can do is like you build a gated community, a massive fence around your property, you hire private security, and you have to live like that. It's the only opportunity that you can have. Like everyone else is going to have to deal with the shit, and there's no way around the shit, unfortunately. Until people start voting for someone that's going to be tough on crime. And in order for people to vote for someone to be tough on crime, you need to have the public dislike criminals. Like until the public dislikes criminals, there's nothing you can do about it. Like when the public has sympathy for criminals, they're going to vote for people that are soft on crime. So you have people in rich neighborhoods that never met a criminal in their life, except in a movie or something, and they're like, oh well, we need to be soft on crime, and they vote for people that are soft on crime. But eventually the crime goes up, and even their neighborhoods gets affected, unless they're like very very rich. But let's be honest, most people aren't. So when the businesses go out, when their businesses look like a maximum federal prison with bulletproof glass and with bars at the door and shit like that. Oh, when the neighborhood changes, they're like, okay, fine, like we need to vote for something. And then you have like a person that comes in and arrests the criminals, puts them behind bars, and the cities become safer. It's just the way of things. Remember, like, it used to happen, America in the 60s. Like, that already happened. You had the massive crime wave. And what did people do? Is like, well, they made movies first. Like, after 10 years of violent crime, you finally had movies. Every single like even the comic books and all the movies that, like, Do You Feel Lucky? Do You Punk? All that shit. It came in an era where people were fed up with criminals. People must not sympathize with criminals. Just think of the comments under the clip where the black teen slaps the white kid. Yeah, so there's like a kid, like a 9-year-old, who says the N-word to a black person, and the black person chases him and spanks him in the back of the head. And I'm like, it's just okay. So the answer to words is violence, and a 9-year-old kid is supposed to be treated like an adult. All right, fine, whatever. The difference between, I guess, Romania and the United States is that in the United States, let's say a criminal shoplifts and he gets roughed up by the cops. People are like, oh, why did the cop rough him up? Oh my god. In Romania, if a criminal steals and he gets roughed up by the cops, you'll see in the comment section on Facebook, why didn't the cops rough him up harder? Piece of shit. How dare he steal? Right? That is the difference. And why is the difference? Because Romania recently experienced high crime. And we just got rid of it, so people don't want it back. That's why. And that is the mentality you need to have. Like, literally no compassion for criminals. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, in Romania, if a criminal gets shot, like, let's say a criminal attacks a cop and he gets shot, no one gives a fuck. It's not racialized. It's not just like, why did he attack? What the fuck is wrong with him? Like, there is no compassion for people that break the law here. There is no understanding. No shades of gray. Like, you break the law, you break the law. But like that used to be in the United States, and I'm pretty sure like in maybe 20 years from now it's going to be, and it's just. Islam has a 2.5% flat tax and thieves lose a hand. I think that's a little bit too radical. And honestly, what do you do with people that are falsely accused and stuff? No, you don't need to cut. And by the way, it's not the problem of thieves, right? Because it's not like pickpocketers that are the problem. It's people that go into stores and steal shit. Like, they mug. Violent crime, I guess. But yeah, I think like I suppose like in Saudi Arabia, you don't have people breaking and stealing shit from stores. In the United States, there are exceptions. For example, if a veteran sees a thief and beats him up, gets the goods back, he is cheered. I don't know. It depends. I think like you might get car Rittenhouse if you do it. Unless they steal your goods. Like, I think if they steal your personal goods, then things might be different. But if you see, like, someone shoplifting and you're tackling them and applying a correction, that's bad. I might have to. But look, like the problem with Saudi Arabia with chopping off the hands of thieves and whatnot. There's other countries in the world where people don't have high crime rates and they don't chop off the hands of thieves. I mean, I don't think we need to lower our standards just because there's communists. So there are if there are places in the world where there's low crimes and people don't get their hands chopped off, maybe we can emulate what they are doing. I think I'll end it here because I'm very tired. It's uh it's 8 a.m. So yeah, thank you for the views and thank you for the super chats. I didn't expect to make this much. Um. Anyway, hey.